All right, today we're going to be doing multi-step inequalities. I want you to take out a sheet of paper and try this one. Yep. All right, so for this one, notice that you have a 3x that ends with an x, and then you have 5x that also ends with an x. So if they both end with the same variable, those are called like terms, and we can add those together. 3x plus 5x is going to give you what? 8x. Yep. And then everything else is going to stay the same. Okay, so now I've got 8x is less than or equal to 88. I want to get the x by itself, so I need to do what to both sides? Divide by 8. Yep. So when I do that, the 8's are going to cancel out on this side, leaving me with just an x. I have my less than or equal to symbol. I'm going to bring that down. And then what's 88 divided by 8? 11. Yep. So that's going to be my answer. X is less than or equal to 11. So there's two things that we're going to do with this at the very end. We're going to write our solution set, and then we're going to graph it on the number line. So the solution set is going to be all the real numbers x, such that x is less than or equal to 11. And this vertical line here is going to mean such that. All right, so on our number line, we're going to take the answer that we just got and put it in the middle. So we're going to put 11 right there in the middle. And numbers that are less than 11, like 10 and 9, those are going to go on the right, the left side. And then numbers that are bigger than 11, like 12 and 13, those are going to go on the right side. So I have a less than or equal to symbol. Am I going to be using a closed dot or an open dot? Yeah, it's going to be a closed dot. So I'm going to put that closed dot over the 11. Make sure that you fill in that dot. That's fine, you're good. And then what I'm going to do is I'm either going to shade to the left or I'm going to shade to the right. Which one are we going to do? Yep. Because it's pointing to the left. So then I shade to the left. So that way I can pick up all the numbers that are less than 11, but also equal to 11. So that's why I shade in that dot on the number line. And whenever it's pointing to the left, you're going to shade to the left. But if it's pointing to the right, like a greater than symbol, you're going to shade to the right instead. So it's all based on which way the inequality sign is pointing. Okay, let's try number 2. All right, for number 2, I've got 8 negative 8 times 3 plus x it's going to be less than or equal to 40. All right, so for this one, I need to get x by itself on the left-hand side. So that means I need to get rid of the negative 8 and the 3. There are 2 ways that I can do this. The first way is I could distribute this negative 8 to everything on the inside. I could do that. Also, what I could do is I could divide both sides by negative 8 to start off with. But what I'm going to do right now for this one is I'm going to distribute the negative 8 to everything on the inside. So negative 8 times 3, that's going to give me negative 24. And then if I multiply the negative 8 by the x, I'm going to get negative 8x. But everything else stays the same. The less than or equal to symbol and the 40. Okay, so now I need to get the x by itself. There are 2 things that I need to do for this one. I need to get rid of the negative 24, and then I need to get rid of the negative 8. So how can I get rid of a negative 24? You can add 24 to both sides, right? So that's what I'm going to do for this one. I'm going to add 24 to both sides first. Then I can divide by the negative 8. So what that does is it's going to cancel out the negative 24 and the positive 24. Those can be crossed out. Now I'm only left with a negative 8x on this side. And then if I add 40 to 24, you should get 64. Yep. Should be a negative 8. Okay, so the last thing I need to do is get rid of the negative 8 somehow. Since it's being multiplied by x, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to divide both sides by that negative 8. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 8. What that's going to do is it's going to cancel out the negative 8s on the left side, so I can cross those out. But since I divide by a negative 8, what do I need to do to this inequality sign? If I ever multiply or divide by a negative number, I need to flip it, right? So now it's not a less than anymore, it's a greater than symbol. And if I divide those 2 numbers, I do get negative 8.
How do I do the thing Tuesday?
We're going to get to that after this. So let me get through this first. So that's my solution set. Let me graph my number line. Whenever I do my number line, I take the number that I found and put it in the middle. And then all the numbers that are less than negative 8, like negative 9, negative 10, those are going to go on the left side. So -9, -10. And then numbers that are larger than -8, like -7, -6, those are going to go over here. So since I have a greater than or equal to symbol, I'm not going to use an open dot. I'm going to use a closed dot like this. And you can tell because there's a little line underneath the greater than symbol. That means greater than or equal to. So I'm going to have a closed dot, and I'm going to shade to the right this time. So let me choose a different color. Let's say green. I'm going to put a closed dot on the -8 and fill it in. And then I'm going to shade to the right. Shade to the right. Okay, let's do number 3. This is going to be the last one that we do together. So for number 3, we're going to do -2 times 7x plus 6. I'm going to put all that inside parentheses. And then -8 is less than -132. Now, these are the most complicated ones you'll see because there's so many steps you got to do to get to the answer. But I usually just go in order based on working on the outside and working my way inside. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this -8. How can I do that? You could add 8 to both sides, right? So I'm going to add 8 here and add 8 here. So when I add 8, that means that the -8 and the +8 are going to cancel out, only leaving me with whatever's left on this side. -2 times 7x plus 6. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay. So now there's 2 ways I can do this after that. What I could do is I could distribute this -2 to everything on the inside. I would have to multiply the 7x by -2, and I would have to multiply the 6 by -2 as well. That's called the distributive property. I can do that and it would work. There is another way I can do this though. Since the -2 is being multiplied by everything, I could divide both sides by -2. I'm going to do that. So let's divide this side by -2. And we're going to divide this side by -2. And you're going to see that this is going to work. Because what's going to happen is the -2 on the top and the -2 on the bottom will cancel out, right? So I can cross those out, and I'm only left with the 7x plus 6 on the inside. But because I'm dividing by a -2, what do I have to do to the inequality symbol? I got to switch it. So I'm going to flip it to being a greater than. And when I divide these two numbers, I get 62. Positive 62. So whatever's inside the parentheses right here is just going to come out the way it is. All right, there's two things I have left to do. What are they? And then divide by 7. Yeah. So we're going to subtract 6 first. So when I subtract 6, the positive 6 and the -6 are going to cancel out, just leaving me with this 7x right here. We'll get to that later. Over here, I have 62 minus 6, which is 56. So now I can divide both sides by 7, and you should get 8 for your answer.
I did it a different way, but I still got it.
Yeah, you multiplied everything by -2. Yeah, you should get the same answer. So the 7s are going to cancel out. I'm left with an x is greater than 8. So this is going to be my answer here. X is greater than 8. So my solution set is going to look like this. All the real numbers x such that x is greater than 8. That's my solution set. And then the last thing we're going to do is draw our number line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 8 right here in the middle, like I always do. Numbers that are bigger than 8, like 9 and 10, are going to go to the right side. So as you move farther to the right, you get more and more positive. But as you move to the left, you get more and more negative. So that's why 7 and 6 are going to go over here. So am I going to use an open dot or a closed dot? Open. Yep. So it's going to be what I'm going to use here. I'm going to put an open dot over the 8 like this. And since it's open, I'm not going to color it in because I need it to be open. Which way am I going to shade? To the left or to the right? Yep. Just like that. And it's to the right because I need numbers that are greater than 8. So I need to pick up all the numbers like 9, 10, 11, and so on. So I'm going to write shade to the right up here. And that's multi-step